morning, students. We are going to continue the same lesson, lesson 9 of your book, The Economic Depression and its Effect on the European Countries. And in this module, we will discuss the effect or the impact of the Great Depression on Germany and Japan. Before starting our topic, we need to discuss the objectives of the topic. The objectives of the topic are USA, the Great Boom and the Crash, the reign of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, impact of Great Depression on Germany, impact of Great Depression on Japan. We will discuss the impact of Great Depression in Britain and in France. And in this module, we will discuss the impact of the Great Depression on Germany and Japan. Let us first discuss the new words of the topic. The first new word is hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is a term to describe rapid, excessive, and out of control general price increase in an economy. While inflation or rises in price is a measure of the pace of rising prices for goods and services, hyperinflation is rapidly rising inflation, typically measuring more than 50% per month. That means where inflation means a rise in the prices, hyperinflation means the rise in the prices of the commodities for over 50% of its previous price. The next word is monetization of deficit. It means printing more money. In other words, monetization of deficit happens when RBI buys government securities directly from the primary market to fund government's expenses. It is a measure of the government to increase the supply of money in the market. To increase the circulation of money, government print more money to encourage the local investors. The next term is Reichstag. Reichstag is a German word which means parliament. It is the law-making body of Germany. The next term is Davis Plan. Davis Plan was an agreement between the Allies and Germany. The basic idea behind the plan was to make it easier for Germany to pay war reparations. As a result, reparation payment resumed and the French occupation of Ruhr ended. It was basically a plan which was signed between Germany and America, by which America agreed to help Germany financially and provided a big loan to Germany to pay for its war indemnity or war reparation of $33 billion. The next term is Young Plan. Young Plan cut Germany's total reparations from £6.6 billion to £2 billion. In addition, the Young Plan also gave 59 years to pay reparations, meaning Germany would be paying reparations until 1988. As we all know that it was difficult for Germany to pay a very high war indemnity. By the Young Plan, Americans agreed that they would economically help Germany and also reduce their war reparation from £6.6 billion to just £2 billion. It also gave extended period of time to Germany to pay back this war indemnity. She got 59 years to pay the war indemnity. That means she could pay the war indemnity on installment basis till 1988. The next word is Nazism. The body of political and economic doctrines held and put into effect by the Nazis in Germany from 1933 to 1945, including totalitarian principle of government. Nazism was ideology which flourished in Germany after the First World War under the leadership of Adolf Hitler. It was based on totalitarian or dictatorial principle. It believed that there should be only rule of one party and public opinion was not given any acceptance. In other words, it was rule of one person or one party on the total population of Germany. The next word is communism. Communism is a theory or system of social organization in which all property is owned by the community and each person contributes and receives according to their ability and needs. It is a system that believes that over means of production or economic activities, it is the government who should have control, rather than any capitalist or industrialist class. It doesn't believe in private property and believe that each person should get his due according to the work or the work hard he or she has done in the economic activities. In international sphere, Russia was the propounder of communist ideology in the world. Deflation, reduction of general level of prices in an economy, is called as deflation. When prices of commodities decreased in economy, in economics it is called as deflation. As inflation, it is also not good phenomena for a growing economy, because if the prices are decreased, the investors will not take interest in investing in production, as there would be no profit that will attract them to do the production activities. Cartelation. A cartel is a grouping of producers that work together to protect their interests. Cartels are created when a few large producers decide to cooperate with respect to aspect of their market. Cartelation is a method by which many groups come together and work as one unit when economic crisis is going on. This is a way to overcome the economic depression. Now let's start our first topic of the module, the economic depression in Germany, and we will start with our discussion of Germany after the First World War. What were the political conditions of Germany just after the First World War? Setting up of Weimar Republic. The Weimar Republic was Germany's government from 1919 to 1933, the period after World War I until the rise of Nazi Germany under the leadership of Hitler. It was named after the town of Weimar, where Germany's new government was formed by National Assembly after Kaiser Wilhelm II, the Emperor of Germany during the First World War, was abdicated. After the surrender of Germany and when Germany signed an armistice with the Allied countries, a republican government was set up in Germany. The name of this government was Weimar Republic. It was named so because it was formed in the town of Weimar. It continued from 1919 to 1933, and when it was unsuccessful, then Hitler removed Weimar Republic and declared Germany again a monarchical system. When Germany was defeated in the First World War, its emperor Kaiser Wilhelm II was abdicated. It means he was dethroned from his position by the Allied countries. And the Allied countries here were the group of England, France, and Russia. After dethroning Kaiser Wilhelm II, the Allied believed that republic would be the best form of government in Germany. So, the Weimar Republic was set up in Germany in 1919. Weimar Republic is an unofficial historical designation for the German state between 1919 and 1933. The name derives its name from the city of Weimar, where its constitutional assembly first took place. The official name of the state was Deutsches Reich. In English, the country was usually known as Germany. A national assembly was convened in Weimar, where a new constitution for the Deutsches Reich was written and adopted on August 11, 1919. In 1919, in the city of Weimar, a constitution was adopted by the German government. It was officially known as the Deutsches Reich. Reich here means the legislature of Germany. Officially, its name was Deutsches Reich, but in English it was just simply called by the name of Germany. The constitution was adopted on August 11, 1919. Now let's see how did this Weimar Republic work. There used to be a chancellor who was chosen by the president. and the member of Reichstag. Now, what was Reichstag? Reichstag was the parliament of Germany. They were having two houses. The lower house was called as the Reichstag and the upper house was called as the Reichsrat. The German people were having freedom to choose their representatives. Any German who was 20 years or above age could vote for the both houses of the German parliament or Reichstag. The president used to be elected after every 7 years. And Article 48 was exclusive power of president to declare that in an emergency, the president could make laws without first going to the Reichstag. That means Article 48 could make the position of the president more stronger as compared to the German Reichstag. Now let's discuss what was the reason of the failure of the Weimar Republic. The causes of the failure of Weimar Republic were signing humiliating Treaty of Versailles. Many Germans hated the government for signing the armistice in November 1918. Germans called the Republican government as the November criminals. And why they were called as November criminals? Because the armistice or the surrender treaty was signed on 11 November 1918. The defeat in the war came as a huge surprise to the German people, as in the initial years of this war, the First World War, it was seen that Germany is going to win the First World War. The defeat in the war came as a big surprise to the German local people, which led to the theory that brave German army had been stabbed in the back by the politicians. Many Germans felt their country had received a very harsh deal in the Treaty of Versailles. Treaty of Versailles, as we all know, that was very humiliating treaty that put heavy restrictions on Germany. Her army was reduced to only 1 lakh. She was not allowed to have any army or any navy. She had to pay a heavy war reparation. The local Germans were not ready to pay this big amount. After being defeated in the First World War, so the local Germans were resenting the government for signing the harsh and humiliating the Treaty of Versailles. People resented the government for agreeing to its conditions and signing it, even though they were forced to by the Allies, the winning group of the First World War. The local German peoples were unable to understand that there was pressure on the representatives of Germany in the Treaty of Versailles meeting. Paris Peace Conference, where this treaty was signed, the representatives of Germany were forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles. They were told that if they would not sign the Treaty of Versailles, Germany would be attacked by the Allied powers. Being already weak, both military-wise and economically, the German representatives had to sign the Treaty of Versailles. But local Germans were not accepting this viewpoint of the Republican government. Hence, they held the Republican government responsible for signing humiliating international treaty called the Treaty of Versailles. The second reason for failure of Weimar government was the heavy war reparations. Germany was asked to pay $33 billion as war indemnity. War indemnity means a tax or economic loss that Germany has to pay off for the First World War. This was too much for a country which was economically going very poor. The Weimar Republic accepted the terms of the Treaty of Versailles to pay such a heavy war indemnity. The war indemnity was to be paid in installments and to be charged by the government by levying heavy taxes on the people. The Germans resented the act of the government to increase the taxes on the people, as people were not having enough money to pay the taxes. As we have already discussed, that under the pressure of the Allied countries, the representatives of Germany in the Paris Peace Conference had to sign the Treaty of Versailles, which involved that Germany had to pay $33 billion as war indemnity for the loss the Allied countries has bear due to Germans' attack during the First World War. In order to pay the war reparations, the Republican government decided that they would increase the taxes on the people because that was the only source for them to pay the war reparation. The people were not ready to pay the higher taxes as they were not sound economically and they were not having enough money to pay the higher taxes. So, this also became one of the reasons for the failure of the Weimar Republic. Next reason for the failure of the Republican government was occupation of Ruhr by France. The occupation of Ruhr was a period of military occupation of Ruhr region of Germany by France and Belgium between 11 January 1923 and 25 August 1925. The action was provoked by German deficiencies in the coal and the coke deliveries to France required by the reparations agreement after World War I. It was one of the conditions of the Treaty of Versailles that Germany would fulfill the deficiencies or the shortages of coal to France, and for that only Germany was to be responsible. But Germany was unable to deliver the coal which was required by the French government. So, French along with the Belgium occupied the Ruhr place of Germany. Ruhr was famous for its coal mines, and this also became a potent cause for the failure of the Weimar Republic as people became against the Republican government that after the First World War also the territories of Germany were annexed by the French government. The next reason for failure of the government was hyperinflation. Hyperinflation, we had already discussed in the new term, is excessive rise in the prices of the commodities. The occupation of Ruhr led to significant shortages of food and goods in Germany. It meant that people had to spend more of their pay pockets on the essential commodities. A rapid increase in prices was a major problem for the Weimar Republic, particularly as it struggled with the problem caused by the occupation of Ruhr by France. Ruhr was an area which was famous for both coal mines and food production. As Ruhr was occupied by the French government, there was a shortage of food crops and coal in Germany. As their prices increased, people had to suffer, and this also became a reason for the failure of the Republican government of Germany. Now let us understand what is the phenomena of hyperinflation. In economics, hyperinflation occurs when a country experiences very high, accelerating, unstoppable rates of inflation. Two things happen as a consequence as a result of hyperinflation. The general price level of goods and services increase, meaning currency level loses its real value. And the second thing, the real values of economic items generally stay the same. So, as a rise in the prices of the commodities, the value of the goods and services, the price level increase, but actually there is a deficit in the value of the currency. What causes hyperinflation? The Weimar Republic was struggling with reparation payments or the war indemnity and was receiving far less money from taxes than it had initially done. And this was due to rise in unemployment. As there was rise in unemployment in Germany, people were not ready to pay the higher taxes. And higher taxes were the only source to pay war reparation for the Republican government. If people were unemployed, it means that they are not earning and therefore not paying the taxes. In order to resolve the problem, the government decided to print more money. And according to the German government, it was the best solution that it needed. The printing of money created further problems for the government. To solve the problem of unemployment and the decreased level of taxes, the German government, the Republican government, increased the printing of more money. According to them, it was the best solution, but it created more problems. There was more circulation of money in the economy, But it did not help the German government. It increased the prices of the commodities for over 50% per month. The prices were increasing. So inflation turned into hyperinflation, and Republican government was held responsible by the people of Germany. Let us understand what causes hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is the rise in the prices of goods and services for more than 50% in a month. It starts when country's government begins printing money to pay for its spending. In Germany's case, it was to pay for the war reparation. Instead of tightening the money supply to stop inflation, the government keeps printing more and more money. As the government increases the money supply, prices rise as a regular inflation. With too much of currency sloshing around, prices skyrockets and inflation turn into hyperinflation. As more money was printed, it meant prices rose even quicker. This situation of rapidly increasing prices is known as hyperinflation. For example, the price of bread increased from 1 mark, that is the German currency, per loaf in 1919 to 2 lakh billion marks in 1923. Such was the prices increasing at such a rapid pace, and this rapid pace is termed as hyperinflation. People were the victim of this hyperinflation, and they wanted to remove the Weimar Republican government. Let's discuss now what were the results of this hyperinflation. The first result was falling value of the Reichsmark. Reichsmark was their official currency of Germany. The more money that the government printed, the more money became worthless. This meant that when other countries exchanged their money to Reichsmark, it was not worth anything. The value of Reichsmark in the international market was less as compared to the currency of the other countries. As a result, imports to Germany fell and the shortages became worse. As when a country is importing, it has to pay money to other countries. The value of the German Reichsmark decreased, so there were shortages as German government was not able to import more products from outside. Germany could not import the goods it needed for its survival. So the German people were facing with utter poverty. The next result of hyperinflation was the daily hardships. Daily life became difficult for many. Hyperinflation created a situation whereby prices rose almost hour by hour. That means the prices of the commodities differ on daily basis also. People were paid twice in a day by the government and often had to take piles of money to the shops in the wheelbarrows. As the government started printing more money, the more money it was printed, the value of the money was decreasing. Shopping stopped becoming about paying for goods with money, but developed into exchange economy where all-day barter system started, whereby goods were swapped for each other. Famous examples included people using banknotes as wallpaper, as this was cheaper as compared to purchasing wallpaper. So, it was a blunder on the part of Weimar Republican government to print more money. As printing more money means the value of currency was decreased. Money just became like the paper with which the children used to play with. You can see on your screen a picture showing the phenomena of hyperinflation, where you need a bundle of money to purchase anything from the market. The next effect of hyperinflation was on savings. As money became worthless, so too did saving also. For example, if you had saved 500 marks before the hyperinflation, this amount did not increase as prices did. The value of these savings stayed at 500 marks. The destruction in the value of savings particularly hit the middle classes in Germany, as people were not having money to buy the things and lot of money was required to go for shopping. People did not had the habit of saving. The savings was now reduced to literally zero. The next impact of hyperinflation was on the debts and loans. People who had borrowed money found it easy to pay off their debt. So finally, somebody who was happy with the hyperinflation were the people who have taken money from someone as a loan because they found it easy to pay off their debt or loan. If they had borrowed 10,000 marks, they could pay now even with one note only because the value of the currency was decreased. To help the Republican government of Germany, a plan was started called as the Davis Plan. Germany elected Gustav Stresemann as their new chancellor in 1923. He ordered Ruhr workers back to the factories and replaced the mark with new currency, the American-backed Rentenmark. So, mark, which was the German currency, was removed and American currency called as the Rentenmark was introduced in Germany. In late 1923, the League of Nations asked US banker and director of budget Charles Davis to help tackle Germany's reparations and hyperinflation issues. So US was intervened. He was asked to intervene by League of Nations to help Germany to pay for its war indemnity. Charles Davis submitted the Davis Plan, which outlined a plan for Germany to pay more reasonable reparations on a sliding scale. The time limit for paying the war reparation was extended for Germany, and Germany was asked to pay the war reparation on installment basis, and that installment was also lowered down by the Davis Plan. Let's see how this Davis Plan worked. The international financial system under the Davis Plan and Young Plan was there from 1924 till 1930. According to that, 2.6 billion was the war indemnity that Germany had to still pay. Out of that, US would pay $2.5 billion as loan to Germany, and Germany would pay $2 billion in war reparation to the Allied forces. So it was a financial help by US to Germany. It was a loan. US wanted the money back, but the rate of interest was less so that Germany could develop and also pay off her war indemnity. And for the Davis Plan, Charles Davis was later awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. The Davis Plan, as proposed by Davis Committee chaired by Charles G. Davis, was a plan in 1924 that successfully resolved the issue of World War I indemnity that Germany had to pay. Reparations were reduced in short terms to £50 million per year. The United States gave loan to $25 billion to Germany to help rebuild its industrial capacity, which would make it easier for Germany to generate the tax revenue needed to meet the war reparations. So this loan was not only provided to Germany to pay the war reparation, but also to build the infrastructure and industrial base of the Germany so that the German people would be asked to pay more taxes. As when the people will be employed, there would be no problem for the people to pay more taxes, which was actually the base of the war reparation. The Davis Plan and Stresemann's leadership, Stresemann was the Chancellor of Germany, helped stabilize the Weimar Republic and energize its economy. In addition, Germany repaired relations with France and Belgium and was finally allowed into League of Nations, which opened the door for international trade. In general, life improved in the Weimar Republic. So Davis Plan was the plan which helped the German people to get into a period of normalcy after the First World War and also allowed the door for the German government to do international trade on international forum. Stresemann was the Chancellor of Germany and he mainly worked on economy, politics and foreign policy of Germany and helped it to once again emerge as a sound country in the world. Along with the Davis Plan, one more plan was designed to help Germany to come out of financial crisis, and that was the Young Plan. The Young Plan was another plan agreed between Germany and allies and was named after the US banker who oversaw the plan, who supervised this plan, and he was called as Owen Young. The Young Plan was simple. It cut Germany's total reparation from £6.6 billion to just £2 billion. In addition, the Young Plan also gave 59 years to war reparation, meaning Germany would be paying reparation until 1988. It means Germany could devote time for internal stabilization and development of its infrastructure and industries. While this agreement made it easier for Germany to pay reparation, the deal did not please everyone, especially those who resented the Treaty of Versailles, such as the National Socialists. The National Socialists were the Workers' Party which was operating in Germany. Though both the plans, the Davis and the Young Plan, was good for Germany, but they did not accept it as they held the Weimar Republic for signing the Treaty of Versailles. Despite the opposition by the National Socialist or the Workers' Party of Germany, most Germans supported the Young Plan, and when a referendum or a voting on this issue was held, 85% of electorate voted in favor of the Young Plan. The German economy recovered from the economic losses that it bared in the First World War with the help of the Davis Plan and the Young Plan of America. But later on, a Great Depression in America also hit the economy of Germany. Let us discuss how the Great Depression of America badly affected the economy of Germany and how Germany also underwent the period of Great Depression. In October 1929, the Wall Street crash on US Stock Exchange brought about a global economic depression. In Europe, Germany was worst affected because American banks called in all of their foreign loans at very short notice. We had already discussed that America was getting loan under the Davis Plan and the Young Plan. When American economy was hit by the Great Depression, the American bankers was also in crisis, and American banks stopped all the loans that it was giving to the Germany. These loans agreed under the Davis Plan in 1924 had been the basis of Weimar's economic recovery from disaster of hyperinflation. These were the plans of Davis and Young Plan that were helping the German economy to recover. In absence of these loans, the German economy again underwent a financial crisis. The loans funded the German industry and helped to pay the reparation. Without these loans, the German industry collapsed and depression started in Germany. Now we will discuss what were the economic impact of the Great Depression on Germany. The first impact of the Great Depression on Germany was the problem of unemployment. The impact of Great Depression was particularly severe in Germany. It had enjoyed 5 years of artificial prosperity due to American loans and goodwill under the Davis Plan and the Young Plan. Unemployment hit millions of Germans as companies shut down or they were downsized by the financial crisis that hit initially America and also affected the economy of Germany. Others lost their savings and banks also folded. Banks also failed in Germany, so there was huge level of unemployment in Germany. On your screen, you can see a picture where number of unemployed Germans were standing outside the free shop started by the government to give the basic commodities to the German people who were not employed on any jobs. Over the winter of 1929-1930, the number of unemployed rose from 1.4 million to 2 million. By the time Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany in 1933, 1 in 3 Germans were unemployed. with the figure hitting 6.1 million. Industrial production had all more than halved over the same period. The rise in the unemployment significantly raised the government expenditure on unemployment insurance and other benefits. There was huge level of unemployment in Germany. It also increased the government expenditure on giving the special schemes to the unemployed, such as the free commodities. Those who were unemployed were given the basic commodities, then other health benefits, and the unemployment allowance that the German government has started. The economic depression not only affected the economy of Germany but also affected the politics. There was rise of Hitler and Nazi ideology in Germany due to huge level of unemployment and Great Depression that hit the German economy badly. Now let us discuss how the economic depression gave rise to Hitler. The Great Depression also played a role in emergence of Adolf Hitler as a viable political leader of Germany. Deteriorating economic conditions in Germany in 1930s created an angry, frightened, and financially struggling population of Germany who were open to more extreme political systems, including fascism. Fascism was an ideology which developed in Italy under the leadership of Mussolini. People were attracted to the policy of fascism as they were not satisfied with the working of the Weimar Republic. They were also attracted by the policy of communism. Communism was the ideology which was developed in USSR or Soviet Russia under the leadership of Lenin. So people wanted an alternative government to the Weimar Republic, and that was the reason which gave rise to Adolf Hitler in Germany. Hitler had an audience for his anti-Semitic views. Anti-Semitic means that Hitler used to be against the Jews, and his anti-communist views. Hitler was both against the communist government of Russia and the Jews of the Germany. He depicted Jews as the cause of the depression and also the cause of the defeat of the Germany during the First World War. Fear and uncertainty about Germany's future also led to many Germans in search of the kind of stability that Hitler offered. Hitler promised the Germans that if Germans would vote for him, he would again make Germany a world power. And that is what the Germans were looking for. They wanted a strong leadership, and that was offered by Hitler. While the Great Depression and German economic conditions in general were not solely responsible for bringing Hitler to power, they helped creating such an environment in which he gained support. We cannot say that only the economic depression in Germany was responsible for the rise of Hitler, but unemployment and inability to meet their basic requirement was one of the main reasons that the ideology of Nazism flourished under Hitler in Germany. Thus, we can say the economic global collapse caused the German people to accept the terms, the ideas, and values that Adolf Hitler cherished. Searching for new leadership and fearing a communist takeover, many people turned to extremist parties, such as the Nazi Party, which was led by Adolf Hitler. In 1932, the Nazi Party became the largest political party in German Reichstag or parliament. After a brief struggle for power, Hitler was named the Chancellor in January 1933. And you must remember here that when Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany, he did not dethrone any government. He got the public support. He contested the elections, he won the election, and became the Chancellor of Germany by the support of the local people. Within weeks, he invoked Article 48 of Weimar Constitution to quash many civil rights and suppress members of the Communist Party. He imposed Article 48 of the Weimar Republic, which gave the president more powers to suppress or to end the civil rights of the common people, and also to put the members of the Communist Party in jail. People were not satisfied with the working of the Weimar Republic. One important group who was against it was the German Workers' Party. Adolf Hitler was a German army worker who sent to spy on this small political party. Instead, Hitler joined and later became the leader of the party, changing its name to National Socialist German Workers' Party, or in short, we call it the Nazi Party. Let's discuss more about the Article 48 of the Weimar Constitution, under which Adolf Hitler got more powers. Article 48 of the Constitution of Weimar Republic of Germany in 1919 till 1933 allowed the president under certain circumstances to take emergency measures without the prior consent of the Reichstag. And here, Reichstag means the German legislature. That means without getting permission from the legislature of Germany, which was of the supreme importance, the president could take action in emergency situations. And that's what Adolf Hitler had done. He took the advantage of Article 48 and without taking approval of the German Parliament or Reichstag, implemented many policies which worked for the benefit of the Germans. Article 48 of Weimar Constitution stated that in event that public order and security are seriously disturbed or endangered, the Reich President may take the measures necessary for restoration or to bring peace, intervening if necessary with aid of the armed forces. So that makes the position of the President stronger. It was used by 136 times by Herbert Frederick. And you must know that Frederick Herbert has used this emergency provision of Article 48 under the guidance of Adolf Hitler. In March 1933, Hitler introduced the Enabling Act to allow him to pass any law without the approval of Germany's parliament or president. So, he became more stronger as compared to the president by passing the Enabling Act, which gave him the power to make any law or to pass any law without the permission of the German's Reichstag and the German president. To make sure that Enabling Act was passed, Hitler forcibly prevented the Communist Parliament members from voting and got them arrested. Once it became law, Hitler was free to legislate as he saw fit and establish his dictatorship without any checks and balance. With the help of this Enabling Act, Hitler was able to pass any bill or any law without interference or without any check on his power. So he became the real dictator. So passing of Enabling Act was one of the victory of Hitler over the Communist Party and the Weimar Republic. Now let's discuss the Enabling Act. The Enabling Act allowed the Reich government, the German government, to issue laws without the consent of Germany's parliament, laying the foundation for the complete Nazification of German society. The law was passed on March 23, 1933 and published the following day. So passing of the Enabling Act was a very important event in declaring Hitler the total dictator of the German Empire. It allowed him to pass any law without the approval of the German president and the German parliament. Now let's discuss the second topic of our module, the impact of Great Depression on Japan. Japan, an island nation with few natural resources, relied on foreign trade. When the Great Depression hit the world in the early 1930s, countries no longer imported the Japanese luxuries such as silk. As most of the country were going through a bad economic phase, they were not having enough money to import the luxuries of the Japan. Japan was especially famous for its export of the silk product, but it decreased rapidly after the Great Depression. In the 1929 New York Stock Exchange crash and the failure of important European banks plunged the entire world into an economic depression. And Japan was also hit by this economic crash. One way Japan gained greater access to raw materials and markets was to increase the amount of territory under Japanese control. The only way that Japan could flourish in the time of crisis was to attack on the territories of other countries. The value of Japanese export dropped by 50% between 1929 and 1931, and the reason for that we had already discussed. Japan was exporting the luxury goods, and the world economy was shattered. The people were not having money to purchase the luxury goods. So, Japanese export dropped 50% in the period of 1929 and 31. Many people blamed the government of Japan for this economic crisis. Let's discuss the effects of the Great Depression on Japan. Deflation. As before, microeconomics downturn was felt primarily in falling prices and not so much in output contraction. The estimated real growth was positive during this period. As prices fell, manufacturers produced even more to maintain earning and keep factories running. But clearly, this behavior would collectively accelerate the oversupply and deflation. From 1929 to 1931, agricultural prices fell by 40% and textile prices fell by nearly 50%. Where most of the countries were facing inflation or hyperinflation in case of Germany, in Japan there was deflation. That means the prices of the commodities were declining. In order to earn more profit, the manufacturers were producing more, but demand was less. So there was fall in agricultural prices and textile in Japan. This picture clearly shows the dramatic decrease in the prices of the commodities in Japan, which was a basic feature during the economic depression in Japan. The other feature of economic depression was rural poverty. Around 1931, rural impoverishment became severe. Moreover, in 1934, rural communities were hit by famine. Famine means there was shortage of food crops and people were dying because of hunger. Especially in Tohoku, the northeastern region of Japan, rural poverty generated many unnourished children, and some farmers were forced to sell their daughters for prostitution. This rural disaster caused much anger and popular criticism against the government and big businesses. The rural people were forced to live a miserable life. They have to sell their daughters even for the prostitution work, and there was a big loss to the poor farmers as they were not getting their due for selling their crops. So at the rural level, there was huge level of poverty in Japan. Let's discuss the measures which were taken by the Japanese government to control the effect of the Great Depression. The first was cartelization. Cartelization means a group of industry participants coming together to fix pricing of products and services. By cooperative efforts, they fix a definite price and hence lower the prices of the commodities and services. The second was agreement on output restriction were adopted. This practice spread to virtually all material industries, including cotton, yarn, rayon, carbide, paper, cement, sugar, steel, and beer. Cooperative efforts were made and cooperative societies were made, which decided to reduce the production so that the demand of the products could be increased in the market. So cartelization was an effective measure which was taken by the Japanese government. All small firms came together and fixed a definite price of the commodities. It increased the choice for the consumer also, relieved consumer that the prices were less, and also solved the problem of earning less profit for the investors. As the demand increased in the market, so they used to earn now more. Now we will discuss what was the reaction of the people to the Japanese depression. military and right-wing movements started. In economic despair, much blame was placed on party governments and their policies. Even ordinary people who normally hated militarism were disappointed with the performance of all the parties and the governments and became more sympathetic to military and nationalist. That means Japan as a nation started loving militarism. It started believing that in order to make Japan a strong country, it has to annex some other countries, some neighbor countries, in order to make the finance and the economy of Japan more stronger. Some steps were taken by Suzuki government to recover or overcome from economic depression. People were not happy with the party governments. So finally, the second Wakatetsu cabinet was removed and succeeded by Suzuki government or Inoki cabinet in December 13, 1931. On the very first day of the new government, Takashi, the finance minister of Japan, ended the gold standard and fixed exchange rate and floated the yen. Yen is the currency of Japan. The government immediately depreciated the fiscal expansion. That means government started buying the securities and the bonds of the people. It is also called as spending policy of the government in order to increase the surplus of money, the circulation of money in the economy, and to motivate the investors. So Suzuki government was the first ever government in Japan which worked for the recovery of the financial crisis of Japan. The third step which the new government of Suzuki government took was monetization of fiscal deficit. The monetization of fiscal deficit, that is budget expenses in excess of revenue, involved the financing of such extra expenses with money instead of debt to be paid at some future dates. It is a form of non-debt financing. It was tried for the first time in Japanese history, where Bank of Japan buys up newly issued government bonds. It is a policy by which government buy itself the private bonds and securities able to enhance the supply of money in the economy, to motivate the investors, and to increase the purchasing power of the common people. Monetary expansion was done. More money was printed by the government and interest rate was fixed at very low level. So government started printing of more money so that money should be circulated more. With these efforts of the Suzuki government, the Japanese economy recovered from the economic crisis. Due to the policy of the Suzuki government, the Japanese economy began to recover in 1932 and expanded relatively stronger until 1936. Among major countries, Japan was the first one to recover at global depression of 1930s. These are the subtopics we have covered in this module. Setting up of Weimar Republic in Germany after the First World War. Then we have discussed the problem of the Republican government, where unemployment was the biggest problem. Then we have discussed how America helped to Germany by its Davis Plan and Young Plan, by which America gave loan to Germany to pay for its war reparation. Effects of Great Depression of USA on Germany, the problem of unemployment, that how the money value was decreased and money was treated as paper in Germany. And finally, we have discussed on Germany that how there was a rise of Hitler due to the economic depression, the unhappiness by the people with the Republican government gave rise to the ideology of Nazism. And then we have discussed the impact of Great Depression on Japan, in which we have discussed the measures taken by government, the Suzuki government, to recover from the Great Depression, and how Japanese economy, with the help of these measures, especially the monetization of fiscal policy, recovered from Great Depression. In this module, we have discussed these questions. What was the problem of hyperinflation in Germany after the First World War? Describe Davis Plan. How did The Great Depression led to rise of Hitler in Germany. How did the Great Depression hit Japan's economy? And what were the measures taken by the Japanese government to recover from the Great Depression? If you want to search more on this topic, you can see two YouTube links on your screen. One related to the Great Depression in Germany and other the Great Depression in Japan. You can explore more with the help of these YouTube links. I hope this module have been fruitful for you. With the help of this explanation and internet, you are advised to make the notes of the above topic. We'll see you in next session. Till then, have a nice day.